At the conclusion of the 56th session of the United Nations Committee on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, a number of recommendations were made to Guyana in order to have equal rights for all Guyanese. During the 56th session of the United Nations Committee meeting, SASOD and a delegation representing the state raised issues affecting Guyanese from the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender and intersex community in the area of health, sexual education and right to work despite someone's sexual orientation.
As it relates to the right to work, the Covenant Article 6 and Article 7 speaks to general right to work and work in favorable and just conditions. Another one of the issues that we continue to get reports from at SASOD is workplace discrimination, workplace harassment, workplace terminations. As such, we have recommended, and this is another recommendation that we took to the committee, is that they amend the Prevention of Discrimination Act 1997 to include sexual orientation, gender identity, and health status. One of the most recent reports that I had was a young transgender woman who was dismissed from work because her employers just didn't agree. So somebody came to ask for her, and the employers took it upon themselves to, well, they said, oh, you're looking for the anti-man one. And then a whole argument started, and then she really knew why they didn't want her around because of her gender identity, and she was dismissed.
At the 56th session of the United Nations Committee on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, one recommendation that was made was to urge the government of Guyana to enact legislation prohibiting discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity in all areas of public life in Guyana.
The government has acknowledged the submissions made by SASOD and the general recommendations, and that even before the concluding observations, that the committee was concerned about the rights of LGBTI persons. The Minister of Governance has said that these issues will come up for discussion at the level of the Constitutional Reform Committee when that is set up and so on. But as I said before, I think that is still too narrow a place to place that discussion. These issues are far more cross-cutting than being constitutional issues. Yes, we want to see sexual orientation and gender identity as grounds for discrimination included in Article 149 in the Constitution. But that's just one of our specific recommendations related to law reform. The issues around decriminalization are not specific to the Constitution per se, so we want the laws criminalizing same-sex intimacy and cross-dressing repealed. That's at the level of the Ministry of Legal Affairs dealing with law reform. So we've already engaged the Attorney General Basil Williams in a conversation involving other feminist groups about that.
Some other recommendations that were made at the conclusion of the 56th session of the United Nations Committee on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights is for the government of Guyana to include employment, housing, health care and education, include sexual orientation and gender identity within the list of prohibited grounds protected in the Prevention of Discrimination Act 1997. Improve the training of healthcare professionals to increase their understanding of and sensitivity to the specific health needs of LGBTI people. Improve mental health care for LGBTI Guyanese, especially because of the added mental health burdens they suffer due to homophobia and transphobia. Develop policies and implement effective mechanisms to address bullying, harassment, and discrimination against LGBTI students in schools. Develop and implement a training program for school teachers and counselors to improve their knowledge about sexual orientation and gender identity in order to deliver comprehensive sexuality education in schools, among others. Reporting for MTV News Update, I am Ryan Abrams.